So what's the central problem in Washington? It's that it's not the Democrats, it's not the Republicans. A lot of people think, hey, you know what? There used to be kind of 60 Democrats. Now there are 59 if you count Lieberman, and there's 41 Republicans, right? So roughly speaking, the Democrats have a 59-41 advantage. But that's actually not true at all, because the Democratic Party, let's say about 60 of them, right, are broken up into actually three camps. One camp is, fairly good progressives. Some of them are real strong progressives. Some of them are, will vary on issues, and sometimes if they're going to lose a vote, they'll take the campaign money anyway, et cetera. But they're pretty good progressives, about 20 of them, right? 20 of them are in the middle. Their heart's in the right place. They want to vote progressive. If you put enough pressure on them, they will or they might, okay? But if it looks like there's any trouble at all, then they'll take the campaign cash, right? And then the last third of the Democrats are not progressives at all. They pretend to be progressives. They campaign as progressives. They tell the voters, oh, I'm on your side. I'm for the little guy. But they got no intention. They're actually Republicans. Now, you could say, no, that's not really entirely true, because on some social issues, for example, they'll vote with Democrats. So there's a difference between even those Democrats and the Republicans, and you'd be right. But on the corporate issues, they will always vote with the Republicans. Now, all 40, and then now 41 Republicans, they're all corporatists, okay? In the House, a couple of guys are not that are Republican. Of course, famously, Ron Paul. And he's an independent, and he really makes up his own mind. You could disagree with him on the issues, but he's nobody's sellout to corporate America, okay? But in the Senate, every single stinking one of them, of the Republicans, are corporatists. And then you got 20 Democrats who are absolute corporatists, right? So the largest party in the Senate, and the one that's holding up all the reform, is actually the corporatist party. And they have the supermajority. They've got 60 senators. And they're never going to get broken. That's why we need to do campaign finance reform, or at least call them out and show the American people, whether Democrat or Republican, how they sell out to special interests. That's our only hope. Otherwise, the reason we have gridlock, the number one problem with Washington, is because those guys, they don't want financial reform. They don't want health care reform. They don't want any of this reform. They want the health insurance companies, the drug companies, cap and trade. Hell no. The oil companies, the coal companies, the banks. They want all of them to make as much money as possible. They want to be able to loot the store at will. And if they're not making enough money with no regulation, no reform, no nothing, well, then they'll just directly take it out of the taxpayers like they did with the TARP program. The people in charge of Washington is that supermajority of 60 corporatist senators. That's the reality. And that's what they never tell you on TV. That's what they never tell you in the press, because that would be impolite. You would be trashing the senators. You would be being rude. And God forbid you should stop covering for them. So don't turn off your TV, man. They're never going to tell you the truth there. Every once in a while there'll be a story either on television or in print journalism, and I'll get excited. I'll be like, look at this! In the middle of the New York Times on page 824, we got a real story. I'm so jazzed. Once Rick Sanchez on CNN did a story where he's like, could it be that the politicians are taking money from these corporations and lobbyists, and that might affect their vote? And I'm sitting here going, of course it is. Rick, you're onto something. Roll with it, right? So from time to time, you'll get a tiny story that's headed in the right direction, but that'll get snuffed out. Overall, they think their job is to protect those sellout corporatist politicians. So that's what's actually happening in Washington.